Up next, and the last question from myself will go to Ms. Arscott. Ms. Arscott, from the perspective of charter schools, what challenges do you face in attracting and retaining great teachers? How are your challenges similar or different from the traditional public school?
Well, first and foremost, we are just so appreciative to actually be called to the table, be invited to the table to participate in this discussion. A lot of times, charter schools are kind of an afterthought. They the majority of traditional public schools as traditional public schools. Can you hear me? Okay. As traditional public schools. So to be able to learn from the panel of experts and to also share some of the strategies we've employed has been completely an invaluable experience. So I actually work for Charter Schools USA, and we currently manage 31 schools in 3 states. And in fact, this year we opened 8 schools. And so our ability to, we had a full-out test of our ability to attract and retain teachers, quite frankly. And in fact, we hired 800 new staff members in 2 months this past summer. So the challenges are relatively fresh because we just encountered them. So, you know, one that's pretty pervasive is the fact that charter schools here in Florida receive less funding overall than the traditional public schools. And so that does make it very difficult to be competitive in pay with the public schools. And so we certainly try to, you know, have different strategies that will increase the value proposition for a teacher to come to one of our schools. But that certainly is a challenge for us. Though at the same time, we all share unique challenges right now, budget constraints. So we're all in it together. Also, when you think about the teacher retirement system, that is not something that we participate in, and so the perception of that system as not being a benefit, you know, to being in one of our schools is also a challenge that we face. So those benefits. Also, when we think about attracting veteran teachers, because there is no tenure in our system, and we know the idea of tenure is changing overall with the new legislation coming in. But there is no tenure in our system, and so the ability to attract and retain veteran teachers with, you know, multiple years of experience has been a challenge as well. However, what we're noticing is that we're getting a steady pipeline and high demand of brand new teachers with lots of energy and willing to learn and young and able. And so, but there's also a challenge of ramping up those teachers to a level of experience and being highly effective right out the gate, and also training them on our model right out the gate. So those are some of the challenges. I think some of them are unique in attracting teachers. When it comes to retaining teachers, I think we share a lot of the same challenges that the districts do. For starters, you know, the research shows that people don't just leave companies or jobs. They leave managers. And so, as you saw with the research, that effective leadership is so critical to be able to retain teachers. And so, you know, we're heavily research-based. We focus on 21 responsibilities of a leader with Marzano. You may have heard about. Also, we focus on what works in schools. So we recognize that having effective leadership and having effective schools overall is a major component of being able to retain teachers. So keeping your eye on the ball with your leadership and your schools is so important. And also the idea of placing, not only hiring high talented teachers, but also placing them in the right positions. It's important that we have the right fit. So that, are they working well with the team? Are they a right fit for that type of school? So that's important for us to focus on as well. And again, as Maggie mentioned before, you know, rewarding for performance is also a challenge. We've actually been performance-based now for several years, and we're seeing, and there are great things, and there are some challenges as well with that. And you know, with the MAP award, that really gave us some dollars to be able to reward our, you know, top 25% of teachers within our schools. And I'm telling you, it's a great incentive for those teachers. It's not a perfect science, and I think that's what we're recognizing now, even with the race to the top approach, with the new teacher evaluation system. It's not perfect, but we have to start somewhere with getting closer to be able to identify highly effective as we talked about with those rating scales, and then rewarding them appropriately. This is what happens in just about every other business except education, is that when you are performing well, you're going to get rewarded for performing well. So we've always implemented that, and we're hopefully going to be able to maintain that. Part of the problem, as Maggie mentioned, is that MAP is going away. So those funds are going away. So how are we going to receive and provide those incentives for the teachers that we've identified as highly effective? So that's a challenge as well. Also, we have pretty high job expectations within our company. As a school of choice, with all of our charter schools, parents vote with their feet. So if your child is not performing and not getting the results that you expect, you can leave. There is no zoning when it comes to our schools. It's a choice. So there's a really high level of accountability for each and every one of our teachers. And so we do create the system and the support to help our teachers be able to provide that. But to do that requires a lot of them. So we do ask a lot of our teachers, and that makes it difficult sometimes to retain our talented teachers, as well as our parents. Lisa just whispered to me, which is absolutely true. You know, we do follow the research, and the research shows how important parent and community involvement is, and I really appreciated John's comments about, you know, really involving the business community, because that's what the research shows. And in our schools, we require our parents to volunteer, because we know how important parent involvement is. So there's such a high level of commitment and expectations out of our teachers, and that makes it difficult sometimes to retain them. At the same time, we really try to work around some of the cards that are kind of dealt to us. We looked at a lot of the research that shows how important learning communities and teacher collaboration and providing time for professional development. That's actually one of our goals as mission of the education team at our corporate office that support our schools, is to provide a network of support. And so that teachers don't feel isolated, that when they close their door, they're only there on their own. So we do create multiple forums, multiple opportunities within their grade levels, as well as throughout the CSUSA network, to come together and really share ideas and collaborate around how to improve student achievement. We also monitor, and teachers are so used to us coming in their classrooms and doing observations and providing feedback so that they're not alone, that they're hearing ways and having professional discussions around how to improve their instructional delivery and their implementation of research-based practices. Also, one of the things that we've really worked hard on is, and it was one of the solutions, recommendations in one of the groups, was career pathing. And so we have a leading edge program within our company. And, you know, we have, oh my gosh, it may be one of the years we had like 70% of the leadership positions. And as you can see, we grow by a lot of schools every year now with principals and APs that were placing those positions from within. So a lot of promotion from within and providing teachers with leadership opportunities. So that's what that leading edge program does, so that, you know, teachers that really do aspire to do more and take on more responsibilities and be in leadership roles, that there is an avenue to do that. We have teachers that have, within 3 years, 4 years, have gone from being a teacher to an AP. And that's within getting their master's as well. So really creating that environment of professional development to ramp them up within our model to be able to be highly effective leaders as well has been an important strategy for us to combat all of the challenges that we face. So.
Thank you.